Today I'm going to cover installing WindowsNT workstation using VMware. The first thing we need to do is create a new virtual machine. Typical. Click I will install the operating system later. If any of these are checked, make sure you click the radio box for other. Use the drop down menu. Go to MS-DOS. I do not want it named DOS. I want it named what we're doing. So we're going to go with WinNT. Click Next. We don't need 8 gigs. Probably get by with 2 just fine. Customize the hardware. We need to put our CD in so it knows what to install from. Go to our ISO image. I just have it installed in a folder for itself. So we've got it connected power on, so when we power on the machine, it's going to go to the CD-ROM just like a real machine would. Click Finish, and then we will power on the machine. So WindowsNT is the first, not the first, but the first popular networking operating system. You wouldn't use this at home on your normal personal computer. You would have Windows 3.1 or whatever. Windows 95 actually. This is if you're familiar with Windows 95, even 98, you'll feel right at home with WindowsNT. It's the user interface is very similar. But this was good for small businesses that needed computers to share information with each other. This allowed you to control the users and all that good stuff. So when you're installing, when you see this blue screen like this, it's not a blue screen of death. It's I know most people are used to seeing progress bars and stuff of what's going on, and it just doesn't have that. So here you're going to have to page all the way down, and then right here F8 to agree, escape for not agree. But you need to page all the way down to get this menu to come up. So we'll hit F8, hit enter, and here if we want to create a partition, right here create a partition, press C. So we'll go ahead and press C. That shows us how big the partition is going to be. Hit enter, and we want to use NTFS, New Technology Filing System. It's just better. It organizes the information better. Just hit enter. Here we need to take the CD out of the drive. And let it restart. Here's the blue screen again. Don't worry. It's actually doing what it's supposed to do. It's just not showing you like today's do. There's no progress bar. There's no percentage. Just have a little patience. This one actually installs pretty quick. Not, like new Windows 7 or whatever. It takes a couple of hours. This probably will be done in less than 10 minutes. We want to start WindowsNT workstation. You notice there's I missed it, but there was a little countdown. showing you if you didn't make a selection, it was going to do it for you within, it was going to choose the highlighted section within, 30 seconds or whatever. So if you don't feel like hitting enter, or you don't know which one to choose, it's going to choose for you. Patience on the blue screen again. Now it's telling me I need to put the CD-ROM back in. So we'll go here to settings. Just connect the CD-ROM. We don't need to connect it power on. Make sure the ISO file's in there still. And hit OK. Most people are familiar with these wizards. Name, I'll just put my name in. We don't need an organization. Let's see what my CD key is. Tab works. You can tab over from box to box just like nowadays. Computer needs a name, and now what this is talking about is you don't have to give this your name, but like in the network, people will have names for their computers, like Walrus, Snake, whatever. We'll choose like Walrus, and then it just makes the computer. You can identify. You're like, I need file A. I know that Walrus has file A. It's asking for the administrator password. And since I'm going to be the administrator, I'm just going to use password. You have to confirm it. WindowsNT was the first thing that was big on security. So passwords are a big thing. I will not be connected to a network. It's a virtual machine, so. But if you were going to be connected to a network, you would tell it which network to go to. This is just asking what time zone I live in. I live in Mountain Time. It's just telling me it recognized my VGA. Pretty fast installation. So it's been installed successfully, and now what we have to do is it wants us to remove any disks so that it can reboot from the. Let's see if I can get control of my mouse here. Not sure why my keyboard has stopped working. Finally, the system wants to reboot, so it wants us to take the CD-ROM or any floppies we have out so it can reboot from the operating system that it installed on the hard drive, just like it will every time you boot up. So we've disconnected our CD-ROM, and we will reboot. There's the countdown I was talking about. If I can't get control of my mouse again for some reason. Right here, the countdown. So it's going to choose this one automatically out of the two choices. If you let the countdown go all the way down. Or you can just hit enter with that one's, whichever one is highlighted. That's the one you've picked. Don't worry on the blue screen once again. Okay, now it says press Control Alt Delete to log on. So if you had a real system, if your actual computer had Windows NT on it, that's what you would hit to log on. But if I hit that, my real computer is going to open my task manager or whatever it does. So for this, we're going to hit Control Alt and Insert. Now it wants me to log on. This is all back to that security part of Windows NT. So my password was password. Type it in, hit OK. And I will be logged in as the administrator. So you can see it looks a lot like Windows 95, Windows 98, start button, my computer, all that stuff. Things you can do. There's a control panel. Like the mouse is moving really fast, so I'm going to go in and slow it down a little bit. Let's try that. That's a bit better. But you can see all this tape devices. This was for Windows NT storage. They use like VHS tapes, which is actually a really good way to store information. But the big thing about this was the ability to go to set up all the users and what they were allowed to do and what they weren't allowed to do. Could they access this? Could they change information in this file? Could they add files? All the permissions that were allowed. So as the administrator, you go to Programs, Administrative Tools, and go to the User Manager. Opens up this dialog box that allows you to do all the things we were just talking about. And here's the actual permissions right here. What they can do. So when you set up a user, you give them, if they're a backup operator, this is the stuff they're allowed to do. So to create a new user, just go to User, click New User, and then what some companies would do is say Jane Doe is coming to work for us. They would just use J Doe as her username, and then her full name would be Jane Doe. And you can put a description in. She's, account manager. And then you give her a password, and we're going to say that her password is password. And then changing it every time they log on is past redundant, I would believe. But you can make it so they can't change their own password, so that only you, the administrator, can change their password. And then you can tell them what group they're going into. We're going to put her in the backup group. She's a backup operator, so we hit OK. So now whatever a backup operator is allowed to do, Jane Doe is allowed to do. You hit OK, and there she is in the list of user managers. And that is a brief overview of the installation and usages of Windows NT.